Hi everyone, my name is Mark Quinn. I'm a Chartered Financial Planner and UK Tax Advisor. As many of you may know, I have my own YouTube channel. It's basically me talking into the camera about topical issues in Portugal affecting predominantly UK expats, but other nationalities. And we talk about financial planning, tax planning matters, etc., etc. I'm conscious of the fact that it is just me talking into the camera, so I thought it might be a good idea to have other guests on the channel, to make it a bit more insightful and be less boring. So today I'm joined by my first guest, Ricardo Chaves, who's an accountant based in the Algarve. And I've also, reluctantly, she's joined me, is my partner in the business, Debbie Broadfield, and also a partner in life. So she's going to be here under duress today. So, Ricardo, thank you for the invitation to the amazing offices you have here. If you could just give us a bit of a background as to how you started in the business, because we had a sort of tour around the office this morning, quite a substantial business. But how did it start? Because I remember when I first came to Portugal in 2014, it was just you, right?
Yep. Welcome to our offices. It's a pleasure to work with you and to welcome you here. I never really wanted to be an accountant. I'm an accountant since '97. I always wanted to do marketing and other areas. But in 2013 or 2012, roughly, I was at a Christmas dinner with a lot of expats. And when you're an accountant and you're in a mill with other people, they normally ask you tax questions. No. And a few of them made the questions, and they said, "Oh, you speak so good English. I don't understand what my accountant said. You explain it really well. So why don't you want to do my books?" Yeah. And at that point, I thought, well, perhaps there's a business opportunity here. So I started. At that time, I was an FD for a company that was closing. It was a real estate company, and I was the financial director. My career, most of the time, I was a financial director for several companies. And at that point in life, I just thought, well, perhaps I can start my own practice. And I started by sharing a desk here in Tavira, in an office, on my own. And that lasted between 2012 until the end of 2014, when I realized that I needed to start recruiting someone to help me. I was very lucky because the first person that I recruited is my business partner and also my partner in life. Okay. And that was my Eurovision ticket.
Was she your partner in life at the time?
No.
Oh, okay.
She approached me on the interview. I've never seen her before until that day. And when we had the interview, she said, "I want to work with you because I want to be an accountant and I need to do my training with a certified accountant." I said, "That's fine. I also want to recruit people to help me, people that want to grow the business and that can teach me other things." Yeah. And that was always the principle. Since then, I always try to attract people that have the same care for the client that I do. And there's a saying: when you look after them, they will look after the client, and the business will look after itself. So I always give the opportunity for people to grow and to learn, because that's the best thing. When you treat them well, they will do exactly the same with the client. And since the beginning, I speak English, I speak French. All the staff speaks English. Most of our clients are expats. We know that they're very demanding. They require a high level of service, and we always position in that niche where we try to have all the information in English or French and Portuguese so that they understand. We try to simplify. Tax is very boring. Yeah. It's not only your podcast. Tax is normally very boring. So we try to simplify it and make it so that people can understand. Yeah.
So you started off with sharing a desk in Tavira. So how many staff do you have and look after now?
At the moment, we have 44 people.
Wow. So you've grown huge over that period.
And we have staff that joined us in 2015. And since then, they are still here. Wow. Not all of them, of course.
Yeah, of course.
We also have. I still have clients that met me when I was just a one-man band and I was just sharing a desk. So it's amazing.
Yeah, that's great. So your partner Fatima at the moment, do you have different roles in the business? Does she specialize in one thing and you another?
Yeah, she looks after more the corporate tax, VAT. She's the best accountant I've ever met. I tell this to people a lot of time. Sometimes everybody wants to speak with Ricardo, and it's obviously that when I was on my own, I did everything, and that most of the things that they do, I already did it, because when I was on my own, I had to do from A to Z.
Yeah.
But nowadays we have specific teams. One of the reasons I think we do well is we have a team that only deals with personal income tax. We have a team that only deals with tax relocation, for instance, the NHR, the new NHR. We have a team that only deals with local lodging clients. So they are very specialized on that matter. And what happens is that nowadays it's very common that they might know better what they are doing than myself, because they do it every day.
Yeah,
that's what they do. I'm here doing a podcast and they are there working, so
doing all the hard work. And how is it working with your partner as well as living? Because I know I always say to clients in our office, we've got bulletproof glass, so in case Debbie wants to throw something through the window at me.
I mean, it's funny you say that, because for me it's great. But I'm sure that Fatima doesn't like it that much, because we are totally different. That's why we...
opposites attract.
We are totally opposites. And the problem is that I think that sometimes she wants to come home and just start talking about that kind of business that is always getting new clients.
Yeah.
And that person is me. So... But she's much more discreet, and she never thought that we would have. But I didn't either. When we started the business, I thought that we would have like 6 people, 10 people. We are 44, and most of the clients come by referral. Normally, it's our own clients refer friends. Then we have lawyers that refer their clients. We have people like Mark referring clients. So, and it's the best. Sometimes we cannot say no, because but we don't like to say no. Sometimes we have to say, because you need to make sure that you can keep the level of service that the clients are used to.
Yeah. Okay. So in terms of the core services you provide, I mean, we refer to you obviously for NHR applications, the new tax scheme, which we'll talk about in a bit more detail later.
Issues as
Accountancy issues.
People may have had from other accountants.
Exactly, sorting out the mess.
Problem solver.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, problem solver is a good...
I see myself as a problem solver. And that's what the team also does a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, the other day, I meet clients every day. That's what I do. I try to speak with as much clients as I can. And I don't do normally a tax return or a VAT return. Neither Fatima does that. We are here to direct, to manage, and to sort problems. The other day, I was speaking with a client, a couple that came here to live in Portugal. They decided to come in 2023. They have problems with IMA, so they missed the boat of the NHR, and they came here to do the tax return. So the first year would be 2025, which the filing period is approaching. And while we were talking, I realized that perhaps you missed the boat on the NHR. Perhaps we could still get the NHR out of date. And we did it. In a week or 2, it was done. And the clients could not believe it, because they spoke with a lawyer in Lisbon and they said, oh, it's not possible. And it was. In that case, it was a matter of less than 2 weeks. It was done. And that means that during the next 8 years, they will only pay 10% tax on the pension, which in their case, it would be a lot more if they didn't have the NHR. We also have a team that not only they do this on a daily basis, they also deal with the new NHR, which is the tax incentive for scientific research and innovation. And we started dealing with this last year because it's a new program. and we already have a lot of people that want to come to Portugal, set up their own company, or use a EOR company, employer of record, to be able to benefit from the scheme.
Okay, so that's a good link. NHR. So there's basically two tax schemes at the moment, isn't there, available to residents. One is only for people that have it, which is the old non-habitual residence scheme. Obviously, the key for those people is making most use of that 10-year period. Dividends, tax-free, interest, foreign dividends, foreign interest, pensions,
Foreign capital gains.
Foreign capital gains.
Foreign capital gains on property, just. I mean, the old NHR, it's something that we, like I said, this couple, they thought that they missed the boat. Sometimes it's still possible to do it, providing you started your application in 2024 and you had a property, either a rental contract or your own property in 2024. And it's just a matter of us to backdate your tax residency. Basically, we need to prove to the tax authorities that person, despite the fact that they only got the residency cards in 2025 or early 2026, they were here since 2024. So they become tax resident, let's say in December 2024. In that case, they do the tax return as a normal taxpayer for December 2024 and the whole 2025, but then they benefit from the NHR between 2026 and then following 8 years. So they miss 2 years. The old NHR, like you were saying, I mean, it's good because you only pay 10% tax on the pension. It allows you to, if you have a company, to draw dividends out of the business because they are tax-free. If the person has a company in the UK, those dividends would be tax-free in the UK and tax-free in Portugal. You could draw dividends even if you want to loan the money back to the company again, because that's a strategy that some clients may use. So they draw the dividend, they put the money back in the company, and then when the NHR expires, when they start drawing money out of the business, it's no longer a dividend, it's to repay the shareholders' loans. And then in that case, it's also not a taxable event, neither in the UK, neither in Portugal. So there are ways and strategies that we can design, or that we can work with the clients to take advantage of the NHR in a more efficient way. The new NHR, people call it the NHR 2.0, but it's not. It's a tax incentive for scientific research and innovation. It implies that you work from a Portuguese entity. So either you set up your own entity on the sectors of activity that are established on the law, which are mostly related with IT and technology, etc. And for that, you need to have a minimum of a bachelor degree and export more than 50% of the turnover. That way it will work. So you can be eligible for the tax incentive. And that means that all your foreign source income will be tax exempt, with the exception of the pension. So it's not so much to attract people to live and retire here, but it's to attract high-skilled individuals to work from Portugal. And these individuals will have a tax rate of 20% on their Portuguese income, but a total exclusion on the foreign source income, which includes even the capital gains on stocks, etc. So imagine, just to give you an example, a client that has a company in France that he wants to sell. So it's a company that's where he will have a very high capital gain liability because it's worth a lot more than it used to be. He moves to Portugal. He sets up his own company under the IFICI rules, the tax incentive rules. He moves his tax residency from France to Portugal. That means that when he sells the business in France with a huge capital gain tax liability, that capital gain tax is not due in France because it's due in the country where he lives. And in Portugal, it will be exempt because it's foreign source. So there are a lot of strategies that we can work with the clients. Like we always say this in our company: you must pay taxes, but there's no law that says you got to leave a tip. So there's a lot of legal ways of making your taxes much more efficient. And that's what we try to achieve, and that we try to work with the clients. And we want the clients to see us as a partner that will help them and guide them on the Portuguese tax system.
I think it's so important for people to take advice as well, because I see a lot of prospects and clients. And just one example, a lady that we helped recently and we introduced to you, Ricardo, and she'd taken her pension out, and she's sort of half here, half not. Well, she was here, but she'd not told the UK she'd left. She's building a house here, etc., etc. Anyway, the end result was that she was paying all this tax in the UK that she shouldn't have had to pay there because she wasn't actually resident there, and you've actually ended up saving her £75,000. That's what the result.
Again, the team that deals with the tax relocation, we normally. They have the knowledge and experience to work with the HMRC so that to obtain the no tax code. And when you are a tax resident in Portugal, the double tax agreement between Portugal and the UK states that you pay the tax on your pension where you live. So Portugal was taxing, but the HMRC, because she has not informed the HMRC that she was no longer a tax resident there, was also taxing her. And in those cases, there must be some tax planning, because the tax that you pay in the UK will not be credited against the taxes that you paid here, and vice versa. So you need to either stop being tax resident here and cancel all the tax returns you've done and try to get a refund, or get a no tax code from the UK, which we did for that client. And it means that she got a tax refund for the taxes that were withheld during the few years. I don't know exactly how many, but this is possible, and this is something that we have experienced.
Yeah, I mean, I see it a lot. I see so many people that don't realise that what they're doing is causing more problems. Not taking advice is causing more problems and costing them more than just taking advice and
I mean,
doing.
I was speaking with an American client the other day. He contacted us, and he's been in Portugal. He's American. He's been in Portugal for 3 years, and his pension product is a product where he made pre-tax contributions into this pension, and he's drawing money out of that pension, and he knew about the rule where 85% of the income was excluded from tax, because when it's not possible on the monies that you withdraw from your pension, it's not possible to determine how much it refers to the amount you invested, how much it refers to the growth of the product. 85% of your income is excluded from tax. And in this case, he said that in the last 2 years, he's been taxed on 100%. He spoke with 2 lawyers in Lisbon and 2 accountants near Cascais, and they all said, no, that's not true, that doesn't exist. And he said, no, I know that it exists. And we managed to speak a couple of months ago. He's now a client for this year, and this year he's going to pay tax just on 15% of the income. And that means that whether you have the NHR or not, you still pay a very little tax on that amount of money. And sometimes when people take lump sums, or even if you don't take a lump sum, but it's a high annuity or monthly pension that you take, it doesn't make sense. You've been taxed twice, because you pay tax on your contributions into that scheme, and now you would be paying tax on the whole 100% of the contributions. We had a situation where where the client draw the whole amount of the pension, and he had a loss, and he was taxed on the whole amount that you drew, and that was not taxable, of course. But
I mean, we introduce a lot of clients to you, Ricardo, because I speak to a lot of my clients. I look at what they're doing, their financial and tax planning, and I'm questioning what their current accountants are doing. So I think for people that do have accountants and are taking advice, get a second opinion, or a third, or a fourth. I see what some accountants are doing, and I'm thinking, this doesn't look right. We need to speak to somebody that knows what they're doing. And I'm very really introduced to you, but we've saved a lot. I think a lot of people.
I think that sometimes it's a matter of time. Mistakes everybody makes. But it's there's less mistakes if you have a team that only deals with personal income tax. So it's not someone that will be doing the VAT for a company today, the corporation tax, and then the personal income tax, because we have people in our company that only deals with companies. And they only deal with those companies, and they can have like 20 or 25 clients, and that's all they do.
Specialization.
They specialize, and that's I think that's a trick, because it happens a lot in Portugal that first of all, you try to speak with the accountant, and he's not available, and he's not available because there's a lot of tax events during the month. You need to deal with Social Security, with VAT, with corporation. So you're not available for your clients, and that's an issue. Secondly, some of these things require time. And you need to understand it's not just a personal income tax. You need to understand the circumstances of the client, and you need to meet with them to see what is the best strategy. It's not just to file a tax return, because once the tax return is filed, if there's something that needs to be corrected, it's much more complex.
Because I meet a lot of people, and it's happened to me in the past, where you just get a form and the accountants just say, fill in the form and give me all the information. And if you're not in finance or you're not an accountant, you don't necessarily know what the different types of income are, dividend, interest, what's taxable, what's not taxable. So I do meet a lot of people and they just fill in the form and then they get taxed on everything, but they don't have the conversation with their accountant to do the tax planning or the financial planning around it. Actually, that's in the wrong box, because that should be over here. So that means you're being taxed, but you shouldn't be. But the accountants aren't pushing back and questioning. So I find that often, actually.
I think from our experience with a lot of firms, they do more of a bookkeeping role.
Yeah.
So the client gives them the figures, they just report it, and that's it. They don't actually do any planning or think outside the box, which is what you do, and push back on things, question things. So I think that's
we are a bit picky.
But so what are you seeing more generally in terms of people moving here? Obviously, you mentioned US citizens, and they've come in big droves over the past few years, haven't they?
Yes, since the last, I would say, since COVID, everything changed. I mean, nobody knew how to use Teams or Zoom, and nowadays everybody does the meetings by Teams or Zoom. We have an average of 10 requests or more per day of new clients. The majority are coming from the US. And it was something I remember when I started AFM, people knew about the Algarve, but it was more Tavira, Quinta do Lago, if they were rich. Nobody knew about Lisbon or Porto. And then suddenly in 2014, people started to talk about Porto and Lisbon. And nowadays, when I meet with the clients, they say, I'm going to move to the Alentejo, or I live near Leiria. Not only we have clients from all over the country, because nowadays everything is remote. There's less clients meeting you face to face. There's more clients that meet you online. But also, they go to places that only a Portuguese person would know of. And now so it just means that Portugal, it's a beautiful country. And there's a lot of paradises everywhere. And Tavira, obviously, it's very trendy. A lot of people want to move to Tavira, but there's not enough properties available. And people would just go anywhere in Alentejo, in the Silver Coast. And it's quite different from where it used to be 10 or 12 years ago. I noticed that people realized with COVID that they can work from anywhere. And they thought, why am I in Sweden in the snow when I could be working from home, but in the Algarve? So that changed and that's one of the reasons why there's so many people coming to live in Portugal. It's obviously the tax is important, but the lifestyle and the quality of life is...
Are you seeing less people coming after the end of the first NHR, the original? Do you find, because the new NHR, the IFICI, is more geared to those that are working with innovation in certain fields, how are you finding your business or clients coming to you? More or less?
At the moment, obviously, with the NHR, when it ended, there was a big wave of clients that wanted to take advantage of before it ended. After the end of the NHR, obviously the attraction with the tax, it's not there. So if you were moving for tax reasons, and that was your main driving force, that's not happening. However, for instance, when you have American clients, they continue to paying taxes in the US. Wherever they live, they will still pay taxes in the US. So the tax is not so important. They move here, they will pay tax here. There's no NHR, but for them, it's not an issue because they will have to pay tax in the US anyway. We still have clients coming here from the UK and other European countries. And like I said, if you have a SIP or a self-investment pension, only 15% of what you draw from that SIP is taxable. So even if that's taxable at progressive rates, you might pay less tax than the UK.
Yeah.
The problem is that sometimes people go on social media and they see that, oh, Portugal, you're going to pay 48%.
Yeah, they just see the headline rates and panic.
It's not 48% because between 0 and 80K, there's an average rate. So the 48, it's for incomes above that figure.
Yeah.
But even so, you have deductions. So from 0 to 80K, you might have an average rate of 35 or 36%, but then you have deductions. If you go if you have a health insurance, 15% of that health insurance is deductible from your tax bill, not from your taxable income. At the end of the day, your effective rate is always a lot less than what you think.
Yeah.
But obviously, if you don't speak with an advisor and you just go on social media, you will get scared because you will think
When
it's
we
48.
see clients, we sort of do a roughy calculation, because we see a lot of people and they go, oh, I don't think I can stay here after NHR because the taxes are so expensive, because they've gone on social media, they've looked at the headline rate and panicked. But when you actually sit down and look at it, we find in most cases it's comparable to the UK, sometimes less depending on where your income's coming from, maybe a little bit more. But a lot of people are very surprised once they've sat down with somebody and they've gone through the numbers. Yeah.
Portugal is a bit more complex in terms of determining your effective rate because there is a lot of deductions. Some of them, obviously, during the NHR doesn't make any sense because you are taxed at a flat rate and that's it. There's no deductions. Yeah. But after the NHR, if you get invoices on the restaurants, hotels, you'll get 15% of the VAT that you paid. You get 15% of all the health insurance and health expenses with your NIF. Obviously, I cannot tell you how much is going to be your deduction, but it could easily be 1,000 euros out of your tax bill. So, and these are the kind of things that we need to explain to the client so that they know that is not that scary.
Yeah. I mean, I used to be NHR. I've been in Portugal for 11 years now, 12 years, and NHR, it wasn't really a benefit for me. I got it because it was available. But coming out of NHR, I don't pay any more tax than I would have in the UK, or some things are a little bit more, social security is a little bit more expensive here, but then the cost of living is a lot lower than the UK. I went back to the UK recently. It was so expensive. Glass of wine was like £11. £11, 70p in the local cafe.
The social security is an issue because it's very very high. But for instance, if you are a sole trader in the first 12 months, you have a full exemption on the social security. And after 12 months, there's a ways of mitigating that, because if we incorporate a company, you have a salary within the company and you're going to pay a lot less social security on a monthly basis. And the corporation tax here starts at 15%. Yeah. In the UK, I think it's 25%.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of taxes, and the personal income tax in Portugal has been lowered over the last 3 or 4 years. Every year it's been less. The corporation tax every year has been less. So there's a.
You also get here your state pension for what you pay in. It's not like the UK, because in the UK you pay in fixed amount and there's limits on it, and then they work it out and there's a cap on sort of how much you can get every year at the end. Whereas here it's sort of based on what you've put in. So I've seen some people that have state pensions of 50,000 euros a year. Yeah.
Or more.
Or more, yeah. So it's not bad, if you know what I mean.
I don't know if when we get there,
it will be there.
That's like any pension system.
40 years time?
Maybe they'll raise the age to 78 or something like that. Yeah.
So, but I can go into the Social Security online and I can see how much they predict is going to be my monthly pension when I retire, if the retirement age is the same, and if I continue making the same contributions that I'm making now. And it allows me to simulate if I increase my salary, how much would that be? Yeah. I mean, I'm not a pension advisor. I leave that to you guys. But yes, it's true. There's no cap. We could have that discussion whether there should be a cap or not. You never know if there will be in the future. But at the moment, there isn't. And obviously, that money that you pay, which seems a lot, at least you know that you are supposed to get some of that back when you retire.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so in short, I mean, standard tax residence here is not a bad thing, especially, I mean, we deal with a lot of UK and Irish nationals with investment portfolios. Standard capital gains tax rate in Ireland, 33%, I think, at the moment. In the UK can go as high as 39%, here flat 28%.
Yeah, and there are deductions if you own the assets for certain periods of time. Then you have other bonds where you can invest, where over the period of time the capital gains are taxed at a much lower rate. So there are opportunities. Obviously, they need some planning. I don't provide any planning advice. It's not my area. It's your area. But I explain to the clients from a tax perspective, if they go in this direction, this is how much tax you're going to pay. If you go in that direction, this is how much tax you are exposed to. And we talk about other things. We talk about inheritance tax. There's no inheritance tax in Portugal. In the UK, there is a huge problem now. And it's not only in the UK, in other countries, there is inheritance tax, where in Portugal there isn't gift tax. So Portugal, it's some kind of tax haven because there's a lot of opportunities, and the sun and the lovely
the food,
the bread,
the people, the bread is the best here, and the coffee.
The coffee's really good. Really. Yeah, so you touched on no inheritance tax, unlike UK, no gift taxes. UK pensions are coming into tax from an IHT point of view with effect from April next year. So that's a planning angle for some people at the moment. Gift tax you mentioned. So I've had a couple of conversations with clients recently that have been looking to gift. Now, in a UK context, if you make a gift, it's a disposal for capital gains tax purposes. So even if you're not getting any benefit from the gift, you're still paying a tax charge, whereas you don't have that here.
No.
So makes life nice.
Here, there's no gift tax. There is stamp duty, which is only applicable if there are not direct relatives. So if I'm giving something to my nephew, either money or an asset, you will pay 10% tax, stamp duty. But if I'm gifting it to my son, to my grandson, or if my father gives it to me, or if I'm giving to my spouse, there's no liability. There is always the liability of the stamp duty on the property, which is 0.8%, which is nothing based on the tax value of the property. And those are the kind of things that we explain to the client, and that we help them to make the right choice. So I don't really give direct advice. What I tell them is the consequences of each thing, and obviously they will make their own decision.
Yeah. And I mean, speaking from a UK background, tax background generally is quite black and white. You know, we've got thousands of pages of legislation, generally covers all eventualities. But I get the impression that Portugal is it's shades of grey, and it's having the kind of right backing and professional
it keeps
advice.
changing. We have a lot of training. Every week there's a different type of training here. You've seen our training room downstairs. There's always people there normally having training, because there's always new laws coming out and new interpretations of the law. For instance, we were just talking about inheritance tax. Last year there was a major change on the sale of a property that was inherited. So there is a new interpretation of the law, where this already been to two courts, and there's a recent decision from December 2025 that if I inherit a property, and that inheritance, that state, so it's not split between the heirs, and if it's sold, that's not taxable. Where before, normally, what would happen is I would I receive the property from I'm the beneficiary, me and my sister, let's say, and even if it's still on the state, we would sell it, and each one of us would have to put on our tax return the share of the sale. What's happening now from that interpretation from the court is that in certain circumstances it's not taxable. Obviously, you need to see if, in your case, it fills the criteria that the court states, and If you report it, obviously the tax authorities will tax it. What we are saying is that we don't have to report it in that case, or report it under specific in a different kind of way. And in case the tax authorities notify or challenge your non-declaration, you will use the lawyer to contest the decision from the tax authorities. But these things keep happening. These things, and obviously we also have a lawyer in the team, and we try to be up to date so that we can protect the interests of the client.
Yeah.
I have a client that, for this specific reason, we spoke perhaps 6 or 8 months ago, where I told her, in her case, she would pay tax because the sale was in 2025, and the tax return is due to be done now in April. And when we first met last year, 8 months ago perhaps, I told her, you're going to have to pay tax. And now, in light of the new court decision in 2025 December, we already discussed that most likely she will not have any tax liability. And she didn't know. So we need to be aware of all these changes.
Yeah.
And it's not easy, because in Portugal, every year the state budget brings tax changes, and you need to know.
Yeah. Same from a UK context. It's always changing. They're always moving the goalposts.
Yeah.
Especially on pension planning, they're moving the goalposts every year. But, pension planning is about the next 10, 20, 30 years. So you need some certainty, but they're moving the goalposts every year. It's
not fair.
No, it's crazy. So
Keeps us in a job, though.
It does, yeah. I mean, it's good from our point of view, isn't it?
Well, I have a friend which is a lawyer, where we were complaining about the bureaucracy of Portugal, which sometimes it's a big one of the problems. I tell the clients that, one of the reasons you move here is because it's so relaxed.
Yeah.
If you try to do business, sometimes people are also very relaxed, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
But that's one of the reasons you move here,
Yeah.
for the lifestyle. And this lawyer was telling me, Ricardo, don't complain about the bureaucracy, because that's the reason we have a job.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Because we are here to help them, to guide them. So
that's exactly what we say. Change is good from our point of view. So in addition to obviously accountancy services, tax planning, I noticed only on the screen this morning that you also do insurance as well.
Yes, we actually, it was funny because we had a client. She had a brokerage firm in Faro, and she was a client of ours. And what happened was that one of the partners left the business, and that must have happened like 4 years ago. And I said, okay, we'll just buy. We don't want to own your business, but we want to be your partner. So we bought 50% share in the business, and basically we refer our clients to them.
You say that you didn't know about this. You know our insurance is done through Ricardo. You know that we've got our insurances through this firm.
So, yeah, we do health insurance, life insurance, all the.
I guess you've taken care of it.
I've taken care of
insurance, car insurance, all that. So it's another option for the clients. It's something that if we can help them, we do. I mean, I have someone that works in the HR department that deals with the social security issues for the client. And one day she dealt with a car import. And then the client asked to deal with the driving license. So this person in our team, which is Sarah, since then, every time we have a client that has something to do with a driving license.
You've done it before, there you go.
So Sarah knows how to do it. That's something that I said that I would never do. At the beginning of AFM, I would try to do everything. And I remember a client that was bringing a car to Portugal. And I went to the process. So he was bringing it from the UK. So I went to the IMT in Faro. I remember this very well. And I gave all the documents that they required. And I was waiting and waiting and waiting. And then they would say, oh, it's missing one paper. And I said, no, it's not. So, and this was going backwards and forwards. And one day I went there and I said to the lady, listen, the process should be completed by now. We have everything. And she said, no. She brings the file and she starts showing me the documents. And he said, it's missing one, which is a document I can show you. And then, oh, it's here. Oh, you have everything. Don't worry. It's inside. And from that moment, I said, listen, I will never deal with car imports. And if the client would contact me, I would just refer it to a lawyer or someone. But for instance, nowadays, that's something that Sarah does because she knows how to do it. She did it for a few clients, and that's fine. If a client has that kind of need, we will try to help them. If we can't, we will just put them in touch with a lawyer or someone that will do it.
Yeah.
Okay. We don't try to do anything. Primarily it's tax or any tax related. We don't try to do anything that it's not. But
you know where your limits are, and then you know when to introduce. And I think when you've built trust with people, and people are coming to you for how to do this, how to do the other, that's not necessarily the remit, and you know who to introduce to. I think having that community of people, of trusted partners, is really important here.
At the end of the day, what matters is that the client is happy. I was speaking with a lawyer. We have a few lawyers in Lisbon that approached us, that refer clients to us. We like to work in a team. So if it's something that we can help them and help the client and vice versa, that's fine. And one of the things that came with these lawyers sometimes is, oh, what about commission? And I say, well, we don't, by principle, not only we don't take commission from anyone, we also don't pay commission to anyone. And that's a problem because some people would only want to deal with if there is commission. I say, no, there's no commission. What I want is the client to be happy. He's going to speak with Mark and he's going to say one day, Ricardo, thank you very much because he introduced me to Mark. And that's all it matters. Likewise, he's going to send some client to me and the client's going to be happy. That's all it matters. If I only refer clients to someone that's going to pay me a commission, it might not be necessarily the more adequate way. Not only the best partner, and that's not the way we like to do business.
Yeah, we're the same. We're independent, and we don't take or receive commissions.
Exactly.
Because we send clients to you because you're good and you're going to
not
do
me, the team,
and you're going to do a good job.
They are better than me,
clients.
believe me.
So what's next for AFM? Do you think the same sort of growth is going to continue going forward?
I mean, I don't expect to grow much more than. Obviously, there's a lot of more things that we can do because there's artificial intelligence, and that will eventually allow us to do more. One of the things that I think that will happen in the future is that we will spend less time doing boring things and more time deciding and executing. And that's one of the things that I hope that AI is already proving to do in our business. Just to give you an idea, there's also already a lot of clients that contact us and say, I spoke with ChatGPT or I spoke with the AI and they told me this, can you please check? And some of the things, sometimes they are correct. Not everything. So that will give us and the clients more time. I don't expect to be replaced, but since you never know if that might happen. So we don't expect to grow the team much more. Having said this, we have one new staff coming next week and we have 2 other jobs open, but it's not something that we think that's going to happen like in the previous years. We already have a team of 44. It's a big team. It's one of the biggest teams in this type of practice. And there's also not enough room to accommodate everybody because most of the people work from this office. But what we will try to be even better if we can with the team that we have, because the team is growing as themselves, not in number, but they are growing in terms of they are much better people today than they were 10 years ago. And I'm a much better leader now than I was when I started.
It's difficult. It's difficult, isn't it? And you don't appreciate how much you know, really, until you have to train somebody else. And then you realize that we know a large amount of information that you just can't get into somebody.
I mean, I have people on my team that I have no question that they really know what they're doing. It's like I speak some very highly of them because it's true. If I ask the team leader on the personal income tax about something related to personal income tax and HR, double taxation, they know it because that's what they do every day. Sometimes a client comes here with a problem that they went to the tax department, they couldn't sort it. They went to an accountant, they couldn't sort it. They come here and we might look at that and say, well, that's the same thing of John Doe that we sorted last year. Because there's so many clients, so many cases. Sometimes that's all experience. It's you already dealt with a similar situation in the past.
Exactly. And even if you don't know the answers, you know how to get
we have the resources.
Who to ask for the answer.
We have the resources. We have a big team. We have about, I think, 10 or 12 certified accountants in our team. So I was the first, Fatima was the second, but now we have a lot more people because we want them to grow. We want them to do their MBAs. We want them to add value to us, to our organization, to our clients. And we also have, like I said, lawyers in our team. We have one of the tax advisors that works with us for many, many years. It was the director of corporation tax department in Portugal. He knows everything about tax in Portugal. And it's one of the persons that we use most. We speak very often. So sometimes we already know the answer, but we want to verify it. And we don't do it with ChatGPT. We do it with real people and people that have the experience and the knowledge. And sometimes the tax office, it's a very difficult entity to deal with. Sometimes it's if you go to Coimbra, they will say something, but if you go to Lisbon, they will say something else. And having this kind of contact also helps you to try to navigate the system better.
I mean, you mentioned ChatGPT. We get loads of clients coming up with solutions, from ChatGPT. But I read a statistic saying that obviously ChatGPT gets its information from somewhere, and 72% of the information that goes into ChatGPT is based on Reddit. You know Reddit? Yeah. I mean, some of the stuff that goes into Reddit is complete trash, isn't it? It's people arguing like, what's better, dogs or cats? That's the type of arguments that happen on Reddit, and ChatGPT is basing its information largely on that.
No, there's a lot of things that are totally wrong. And I noticed that, but there's a few things that are correct, and and I'm sure it will improve. I'm sure it's something that will improve. But let's see what the future tells.
Yeah. Okay, so if you could talk about briefly, we're coming to the end now, so we won't go on too much longer, don't worry, but top planning tips. So if somebody's looking to move to Portugal, what would you give as kind of the main tips to be thinking about?
So first of all, if you're planning to move, that's something that we already do nowadays, is speak with the person before they move. Prepare a tax simulation based on what the person is earning now, and to explain how much would be the tax liability that they would have here. And then from there, we will then decide if we should go this way or that way. Also, it would allow the taxpayer to make some changes on their sources of income or on their portfolio before they become tax residents here, or before they trigger tax residency in Portugal for some reason. That's the first step. Secondly, if you are retired and you are moving to Portugal, there's no tax incentive on your pension. So the NHR is gone. So unless you were living here and you were delayed on your residency process, and we can still get back to the NHR, and unless those cases, there's no tax benefit on pensions. However, there are that are very tax efficient investments if you have a self-investment pension. Under Article 54 of the Personal Income Tax, you could have an 85% exclusion on your income from that pension, and that means that you would actually be paying 3, 4, 5% tax on that pension. So speak with an advisor to look into that. There will be other ways where you can speak with an IFA to structure your pension in a way that is more efficient, either that way or through life assurance bonds and other type of investments where you would only pay tax on a very small portion of the money that you draw from that, because only on the gain you are taxed. And if those products are over the time, if it's more than 8 years, for instance, you would only pay tax at 11.2% on the growth.
Yeah.
That's for retirees. So there's still opportunity to live in Portugal, take advantage of the sun, and don't pay a lot of tax. If you are coming to Portugal to work, providing you have a minimum of a bachelor degree, there are different setups available to take advantage of the tax incentive for scientific research and innovation. We have actually a website dedicated just to these, which is TISRI.pt, because TISRI stands for Tax Incentive for Scientific Research and Innovation. And under this scheme, you either set up your own entity, where you are the director, and we set up that entity under fiscal transparency, so there's no corporation tax, and you basically just going to pay 20% tax on the profits that that company makes. You draw the profits, there's no further tax on dividends, and that means that that company could be servicing your clients abroad or your own company abroad. So that means that you are exporting. And that's what the scheme is about, exporting more than 50% of the turnover. And in that case, all your foreign source income, so you could have portfolios or you can have other investments in outside Portugal, that would be non-taxable because you are a benefit of this tax incentive. If you don't want to incorporate a company, because it also depends on your personal circumstances. It may depend on your on nationality. For instance, if you are American, it might not be useful to set up a new entity here.
Yeah.
Eventually, we can do a contract between your LLC in the US and our employer of record, where we're going to employ you to provide the service to the LLC. And because you are employed by our EOR is fully compliant with the tax incentive, and that means that you are within the scheme without the need of incorporating a company. If you don't have a bachelor degree, we can try to register a startup, because if you work for a startup, and there are either startups that already exist where you could be part of, or you can try to set up your own startup. And if a company is registered as a startup and certified by Startup Portugal, you don't need to have a minimum any level of education. And in that case, you can be on the scheme as well. So there are different ways of coming to Portugal and taking advantage of the scheme. Then there's another obvious situation where I was speaking with a client the other day. She's doing some work here, but she's still living in the UK. Mm-hmm. The kids are in the UK, so she's not going to move here. And we were talking about the ways of doing some business here. And there are obviously efficient ways of taking advantage of the system. For instance, if you have a company here, which is a Portuguese limited company, which is owned by your UK company, that means that you pay the corporation tax on your Portuguese operation here at 15%, which is very low. Mm-hmm. And those dividends are transferred to the mother company, which is the UK company. Under the participation exemption regime, there's no tax here on those dividends. There's no tax in the UK on those dividends either. And then we will see in the future how she's going to take the dividends out of that business. But eventually in the future, at the moment, she has a big shareholders loan in that business, so she can take money without triggering dividends. And in the future, when she's a tax resident here, if she takes advantage of the new tax incentive, those dividends will be exempt in the UK and exempt here. So there are different strategies. There are different ways of mitigating the tax. You know that there's no way to pay no tax.
Yeah.
But as long as we can lower it,
Yeah.
we are doing a good job.
Absolutely. So, in short, take advice early, and take advice from the right people.
Exactly.
Okay, I think that wraps us up. Just 2 more questions on a non-tax issue. Favorite place in Portugal to go? This is a selfish question because we're looking to go somewhere.
I mean,
this year, and
the best place to go in Portugal, I would say, it's Tavira. And the Tavira Island, yeah.
Tavira Island. Okay.
Tavira Island. It's one of the best beaches all over Portugal. It's a paradise, and there are very nice places here on this coast, which are not so popular, but they are very where you can find good food.
Yeah.
What was the other question?
No, that was it. Well, that was one question because we go across to what's the Armona, Culatra.
Oh, that's amazing. Those beaches are amazing as well.
Exactly.
The issue I have 4 kids, and 2 of them are very young, and is that you have to have all those. to pack the bags and get on the ferry, get on the boat, and it's
hard work.
It's hard work, but I mean there are wonderful places here in the Algarve, and it's funny because I keep saying this to my partner. We work here, we live here, and sometimes we don't take advantage of the places, but. You could be going to one different place every week, and you would always be amazed with the quality. And I've traveled a few places, and everywhere I go, I say, well, we have this in the Algarve. It's true. Yeah. We have these and better in the Algarve. Obviously, when I'm on holiday, I try to go away. Normally, I go to Spain or to the Spanish islands. It's not because it's better than ours. They aren't. It's just I need to change scenario. I need to get away, because if I stay in Tavira, I'm sure that I will be popping into the office, and I don't want. I don't mind, but my partner might say,
"Take one day off. Take one day off."
I think it's good for the soul to have a change of scenery anyway. But we just come back from Sierra de Estrella, and that was very nice. Completely different, obviously, to the Algarve. But
was it snow there?
There was snow, but not well. It was very sort of
right on the top of the mountain. There was snow. Yeah,
the ski was closed, I think, because of the visibility issues.
The things about Portugal is that I say this to a lot of clients, is that you can have snow. I mean, you drive to Porto, it's 700 kilometers, and you have a totally different scenario. You can go to snow, you can see the sea, and you have different things within such a small country, and that is amazing. I mean, a weekend in Porto, it's something that I highly recommend.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or even on the Silver Coasts, there are wonderful places.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, my favourite city.
Porto, I love Lisbon as well, but it's so easy to travel around as well, isn't it?
I love Lisbon. Lisbon is amazing, but Porto there is something about Porto. And the food.
In Porto?
If the problem is that when you come back, it's always 2 or 3 kilos more.
I went there for my 40th, and we ended up at Taylor's.
What were they, 40?
Oh, already, all the grey hair. So we did the Taylor's 7-course lunch, and there was a wine pairing with each course. But then we made the mistake of doing the port tour after it. So there was like 3 or 4 ports to try after having 7 different types of wine and port.
We went by 7 p.m. on his 40th, but we just KO'd in bed, like hungover.
Okay. Any more issues, questions to raise? No. Okay. Thank you very much for your time, Ricardo, today, and thank you also for showing
you very much
around the lovely office you've got here.
Thank you very much.